All right. Hi, everyone. I am the philosophy bro Nazi for the purposes of this video. Obviously, I'm not actually a Nazi. I'm calling myself this ironically for the purposes of this video because, as you can see in the thumbnail, I am talking about the book called Ordinary Men, that one mentioned by Jordan Peterson a lot, of course, which is about I think it's Reserve Battalion 101. Yeah, they're basically a battalion of Nazis who would go around killing Jews during the Holocaust. And it's essentially about the gradual progression of their evil, how they were reluctant to accept it, but they gradually accepted more and more because they came up with more and more sophisticated rationalizations because no one sees themselves as evil and enjoys committing evil, right? And basically, I think it is a fascinating book because it's about, as you can see from the title of this video, that anyone can be a Nazi. It's not like it's part of the evil that's inherent within all of us as human beings, that we're just capable of fucking horrifying atrocities to other people. And I think the average almost every single human being is capable of great evil and great good, probably, but there's going to be some variation depending on the person, of course, obviously. And some people are more evil than other and selfish than others. Some people are more righteous and morally good than others. But you know, basically, I think this point is correct. Like, if you were in the situation of these young impressionable men in Germany in the 30s, leading up to the Second World War. You're impressionable. Everyone is looking to this strong military cultish leader in Hitler. His populist uprising is very fast and supported because there's hyperinflation in Germany due to them being fucked over for having to pay $1 billion in war reparations after the Treaty of Versailles for World War I. So, and I mean, obviously, Hitler wasn't justified in anything he did. And, he was, if you read Mein Kampf, you can see that he he was bullied. He ate his lunches alone at school. His father beat him. His mother was permissive of it, and he got rejected from art school because he wasn't a good enough painter. So we blame like all of this, including World War I, I think, on Jews, and then just got gradually more fanatical. But obviously, a lot of other people have had fucking terrible childhoods, and they haven't grown up to be Hitler and committed mass genocide. But anyway, the point is that these guys, anyone could be these guys. Anyone could, but we don't choose what country we're born in, what time we're born in. Any one of us could have been the unlucky people to be born as impressionable young men in Germany and then gradually ended up being okay with slaughtering fucking thousands of people. And, we all think that we would morally be better than that. We think that if we were in Nazi Germany and we were German, we would try to save the Jews. And we think that, we would during slavery in the Western world anyway, we would be the ones who would reject slavery and not own slaves as white people, whereas everyone's a victim of their circumstances. But I'm not saying this. I'm not trying to make this a deterministic argument. Of course, like I said, uh, everyone everyone has had terrible childhoods, but not only one person became Hitler, right? So not everyone who was in these circumstances did end up becoming a Nazi. But I can see, like, the fascinating aspect of this book is the main message that anyone can become a Nazi. So, anyway, I kind of wanted to just focus specifically on one particular point. It's actually at the end of the book. It's the author talking about debate between him and other historians, and it's basically about what anti-Semitism has to do with the Holocaust and like the specific type of fanatical fanatical Nazi anti-Semitism that happened in Nazi Germany. Whether this is historically unique or not, there's actually a big debate among about this among historians apparently. So the author of Ordinary Men, his opinion, um, so the yeah, like I said, the argument is whether Nazi anti-Semitism is historically unique, and like everyone got caught up in this kind of cult mentality of this hysterical Nazi anti-Semitism, and the whole country was fanatical about it, which caused all the atrocities. And then Hitler just set loose pent up cultural Nazi anti Semitism that was everywhere in Germany. And he was just the linchpin that allowed all of these fanatical Germans to just instantly become Nazis. That's actually a fairly a fairly widely believed point among historians, apparently, as if this Nazi ideology is like really historically unique. But the author of Ordinary Men's opinion, and it makes a lot more sense to me. Of course, I've read his book. I haven't read the other historians' books, so it would be interesting to read them and compare the different arguments. But I think his argument is more convincing, which is that Nazi anti-Semitism or like any type of discrimination or racism like that is not historically uncommon. It's not historically unique. Like you can think of plenty of examples of this throughout history, right? The My Lai massacre, like all sorts of other atrocities during the Vietnam War with American soldiers raping and killing people, and this was like a really common thing. And look at the genocide between the Hutus and the Tutsis in Rwanda, that infamous genocide, right? There are countless examples. Look at like all the fucking rape and murder that Genghis Khan did in Mongolia. Like he killed more people than probably any other person in human history, I bet. I mean, obviously I'm not a historian, but that really wouldn't surprise me at all. And I mean, that didn't necessarily have to do with something very ideological, but dictatorships like that seem to, like, at least often have a very ideological aspect to them. And so other examples with this extreme racism leading to mass genocide are the Spanish Inquisition, of course, the Crusades, like Christians and Muslims killing each other for fucking centuries. This has been happening for like all of human history. People in different religions killing each other over their religions, and people killing each other from one country, people from one country killing people from another country because they look different. That's happened fucking countless times throughout human history, and people have had all sorts of crazy ideologies, right? All sorts of crazy racist ideologies too. Like look at eugenics and phonetics to do with the slavery of black people, all this fucking junk science and trying to alter people's genes to make it pure race, and that fucking awful shit that people did, that people Nazis also did in the Holocaust. But obviously that's not, eugenics is not historically unique to Nazi Germany either, right? So yeah, and there's even earlier historical anti-Semitism. It's like biblical anti-Semitism, because even people who have read the Bible and are familiar with it uh, think that the Jews killed Jesus, even though it was like Jews and Romans who killed Jesus, and it was Pontius Pilate, the Roman, who ordered him to be killed. Yeah, Judas betrayed him. I think he was Jewish, but like, why not? Why isn't there so much anti-Romantism or whatever it is, and no one blames Romans in general for killing Jesus? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, Jews have been discriminated against throughout human history, and I'm sure there have been many other mass genocides of them, unfortunately, other than in Nazi Germany. But yeah, I think that the the Holocaust and World War II is just the the most horrifying example in human history that everyone knows about of mass genocide due to racism and discrimination and like evil ideology. But the point of this is that so this historian's argument, which, as I was said, makes a lot more sense to me, is that most of the Nazi killers who literally exterminated, like, each single one of them probably killed hundreds of Jews because millions of them got killed and not all of them were in the concentration camps, right? And so and this makes more sense to me. So most killers killed the Jews due to factors like peer pressure. So, you bond in brotherhood and war with your fellow soldiers. You kill the enemy for your brother, not for them being the enemy or for your country or anything, because you bond over brotherhood. Not that I'm an expert on that. That's just what I've heard from people who've been in war. Um, and they do this due to peer pressure and the gradual strategic process of getting them more comfortable with killing and dehumanizing Jews. So this the author talks about this in the book too. So I think the first example of the Nazis getting these guys to kill the Jews was they sent them to an area and they didn't tell them why they were sending them there. They just told them that they were going there. And then once they got there, they told all these guys, okay, you have to kill every single Jew in this entire town. And no one wanted to do it. Everyone was protesting, but they were forced to do it. And because they're in the military and they were following orders, obviously in the Nuremberg trials, just following orders was not a justifiable defense, because anyone can say that they were just following orders and can just conceal their evil. But at first, before this started being a massive thing, like, they were hesitant to do it, but then peer pressure, everyone else is doing it, I better do it to fit in. And then Nazism wasn't as fanatical at this point, but people were probably also afraid of getting killed if they don't kill the Jews. And and then so this process just gradually increases. So your authority figures and your brothers are pressuring you to kill Jews, and you don't have time to prepare for it, but you want to follow orders. And then they they form these rationalizations to avoid moral culpability. So one of the most visceral examples of this to me in the book was when it's basically from the perspective of these young Nazis. And what one of them is saying, uh, we were in a group we were in a group slaughtering all these Jews in this house, and I saw my brother kill a Jew beside me, and I killed and you listen to the language that he uses. So I killed the mother, and then I killed the mother, and then I killed the child, because a child cannot survive without its mother. So that's how he rationalized murdering a mother and a child to himself. It's obviously a lazy rationalization, but if you're in that circumstance, it's understandable that you would try to rationalize that self, and then from an external perspective, you seem like you're fucking Satan. But in your head, you don't feel that way because you formed all of these rationalizations to the extent that you think you're doing something good. It's uh, like the Nazis, whether literally or figuratively, thought they were doing God's work eventually, and is because they formed these complex rationalizations, complex and eventually more and more sophisticated rationalizations in your head. Maybe some of them were fucking evil. Some of them seem like they were, like Hitler, Goebbels, Himmler, uh, Barbie, all of those fucking infamous Nazis, they probably were fucking evil, but a lot of them, probably, maybe even the evil ones, thought that they were doing something good and righteous, and, like, literally, or like I said, literally or figuratively doing God's work and creating this noble race in a utopia where you only have the pure race people and everything goes well or some shit like that, right? And obviously this is all fucking delusional and crazy, but this is how anyone in any ideology, this is how anyone ends up in any fucking wacko ideology or any cults or anything like that. I've watched tons of documentaries about cults because they're so horrifying and fascinating to me, like that Nexium cult, the Jim Jones. Um, was that the one where they went in with tanks and stuff? And then I don't remember whether it was that one or the one that was the mass suicide because they wanted to kill themselves because the alien mothership was coming to save everyone or some shit. I always confuse those two. But anyway, yeah, there have been plenty of fucking wacko cultish ideologies based on discrimination and racism and hatred throughout human history. And I'm very convinced by this author of Ordinary Men's opinion that, like, the anti Semitism in Nazi Germany is not historically unique. It's just the most horrifying example that everyone knows about in modern Western history. So obviously, it's no less horrifying than any other mass genocide in human history, the Holocaust, but it's not historically unique, I think. So let me know in the comments. Do you think that hatred and anti-Semitism in the Holocaust is historically unique, or that there are so many other very similar or even almost identical examples that it's really not historically unique, and unfortunately, it's kind of just part of a human nature that anyone is capable of joining uh, a really fucking evil cult, which is what no, which is what Second World War Nazi Germany was. It was a fucking cult. Anyone can do that because everyone wants to belong, everyone wants to bond together. That's why people join religions, because they want to join groups. We all want to join groups, and people bond in this craziness, and then they gradually accept more and more and more because they form sophisticated rationalizations because they want to be a part of the group and they want to believe this shit that that they know is not true, and their intuitions are telling them this doesn't seem right, but they're forming rationalizations to convince themselves anyway, so they can still be part of this group because it feels like a family, and you don't want to abandon your family, right? So, I mean, obviously, that doesn't excuse anything that anyone, including the Nazis or anyone else who committed mass genocide throughout history, obviously, that doesn't excuse any of that, but it's psychologically fascinating to understand how this can psychologically happen to people. And maybe if we understand that better, we can do a better job of preventing it from happening to people and maybe preventing mass genocide. That would be pretty fucking awesome, I think. All right. So, yeah, like I said, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think that uh, anti-Semitism in Nazi Germany was historically unique, or do you think that it's unfortunately there's so many examples that it's just kind of part of human nature that people can be very good or very bad depending on the circumstances? And yeah, definitely check out this book, Ordinary Men. I was very pleasantly surprised by how good it is. I may not be a fan of Jordan Peterson, but I like some of his book recommendations for sure. So yeah, check out this book. I didn't actually know until recently that there's this Netflix series based on the book out. So I definitely want to watch that. And let me know in the comments if you guys have seen that and what you think about it. And yeah, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Smash the like button, molest it, make sweet love to it. Elbow smash it as long as you press it, click that bell to be notified when I come out with new videos. Check out my Patreon page, link is in the description as always. And like I always say, most importantly, always remember this: the funk cures all, and grooves in the heart, and philosophy is awesome. All right, adios until next time, everyone.